Welcome to The Growing Band Director, the podcast that dives into topics applying to all of us band directors. My name is Kyle Smith, and joining me is my friend and colleague, Jeff Smith. Together, we discuss many aspects of a school band program, including how to build your concert, jazz, and marching programs, as well as everything else we do as band directors. More importantly, we'll discuss concepts that help us all improve our own programs every day. Always remember the famous quote by Ray Kroc, "When you're green, you're growing, and when you're ripe, you rot." Let's get started. Hey everybody, thanks again for joining the Growing Band Director podcast. Very happy to be with you. I'm doing this one solo without Jeff today. It's going to be all about grade 3 music. For me, this is sort of the heart of the program for a lot of band directors. But even if your band plays a lot of grade 3, make sure you're listening to grade 4. Make sure you're listening to grade 2. Always listen to at least one level higher and one level lower, because you never know. Just because a publisher calls it something doesn't mean it's not right for your kids. If you're a high school teacher, make sure you're listening to middle school band music. If you're a middle school teacher, make sure you're listening to the very easy stuff. If you're listening to some grade 3, because you just never know when those pieces are going to fit your kids the right way. So having a really good understanding of what your kids can do is so important, and what each piece requires, so you know then how to make a great template for your students to learn from. It's so important to be listening to all those different styles and to keep these lists. On this podcast, you'll be able to find the list of these. I think it's 23 pieces that we're going to listen to today. You'll be able to find them right on the website, on Growing Band Director, and on the link in the description of the podcast as well. So you should be able to just take these and print them off and have them. You don't need to necessarily write them all down. But I urge you to keep a list, to have a list of music that you really like at different grade levels, so that when you have the right band to do it, it's going to work really well for you. I have a piece of music that I bought a long time ago by Tim Miles, and it's called Lauda. I think it was 2010 that I bought it, and I never ended up using it until this year. It's a great piece of music, but it just hadn't fit the kids the way I thought it was going to fit. Finally, I got a group that, it wasn't that it was a difficulty level, it just had to fit them sort of in all the best places, and their kids are doing it now, and they love it, and it's perfect on the program we're using it for, and all that. So, the programming thing is really huge. Tom Lazat was with us in the 10 Deadly Sins of music making episode. I believe that was episode 6 or 7, somewhere in there. Go back and check that one out if you haven't heard it already. But one of the things he talked about, he has always taught me that 90% of your band's success at performance comes before the downbeat of the first rehearsal. Meaning 90% of how well they're going to do is on you to choose the correct program at the time for those kids. So this is also important for the success of all of our programs. Besides probably relationships with your students, this is probably the number one thing for us to get the programs that we want. So many teachers choose the piece that they hear that month, and then they buy it and they use it right away, and that's just what they do. Now, there's nothing wrong with hearing a piece, matching it to your kids, and buying it and using it. But thinking in the short term, or what's in your catalog already, is just sort of a short-sighted way to go about it. So I will come out and say this: my program is going to change, I am sure, but I've selected our program for both of our concert bands in Westbrook for next year. This reason being is because I know which kids are going to be which ensembles, and I can plan at a macro level, right? If I pull back 10,000 feet and I'm looking at it, I can think about the logical place for certain pieces to go, what these kids have done and not done. And let's be honest, they've not done more than they've done with how our last few years have gone. So I'm able to plan everything the way I think it's appropriate for them. And now as things change, maybe a student moves in, moves out, they're better than I thought, worse than I thought, some things might change. I might hear another piece that I like better. right? But if I hear a piece, if I have my program set for next year and I have a piece that I hear, I'm like, oh, my kids need to do that next year. Well, then I need to find a piece that I like that better. I like this new piece better than a piece I already have programmed, and then I can replace that. But if I really like a piece, but it's not perfect for this program, it just goes on my list, right? It goes on my list under a certain category, whatever that category is going to be. And then, excuse me, when I go to the next, when I'm programming for the next year after that, or the next concert after that, say fall of 2023 or whenever that is, then I have some pieces that I know I really like, and then maybe it's going to fit in that concert. So, for me, having this tool bag of just all these pieces around, and whether I own them or not, I have them on lists and I know how to craft those. Because I don't know about you, but there's points at school where I cannot think about programming. There's so many thousands of other things that are going on. You need to know that your programming is solid and set up. And also what this allows you to do is make sure that you order your music ahead of time. At the very least, order your scores well ahead of time. Do your homework, do your research. Don't pass it out and then go, oh, there's all these notes the kids don't know, right? Or oh, we've never played in this key signature before, and now I'm going to ask them to do it in a piece, right? So if you have a piece that uses a key signature or a rhythm or something that is important for your kids to learn, then it's great to do a piece to use that, but make sure they've learned the concept first. So anyway, I could go on and on forever about programming, but I know you guys want to hear some music. So today I believe it's 23 pieces for us to listen to. For each piece, I'm going to give you a short information about it, and so you can sort of figure out, what the point of it is and what is required of your band. And then we're going to hear a snippet of the piece, so that you can tell if it's something you want to have or not. And just remember, I don't get any kickbacks from any of these composers or any of these publishers. This is just sort of a list of 20 plus pieces that I have used that I love very much and that have worked really well for average students at this grade 3 level. So I hope you enjoy it. Our first piece is going to be Kentucky 1800 by Claire Grundman. This at the grade 3 level to me is just amazing music. It's American folk music. It's in 3 sort of attacca movements, right? So it's not 3 separate movements, but it moves through. There's a majestic movement, a lyric music, and a dance music. There's 4 percussion parts that are 3 battery parts and timpani. There's no mallet part. However, you could easily write a mallet part. Traditional band rep at the grade 3 level like Vaughan Williams, Holst, and Granger. This is just a gold mine for teaching. It's scored and doubled cued through flexible instrumentation, right? So there's lots of cues everywhere to help out kids. There is only a brief trumpet solo with mute, I believe, in the beginning of the 3rd movement. And other than that, there's no solos. It's G minor, E flat major. It does go to A flat major for part of it too. So that's a really great teaching tool. The very end actually goes to G major, but there's no key signature. They write in the accidentals. Range is concert F, and when I'm going to mention concert F range, that's low F on tuba, upper F concert on all the woodwinds, and brass as well. So with the exception of horn. Horn is usually up to their written F. So all of these pieces we're going to do today have basically that same format of range. So let's check out a little bit of Kentucky 1800. On that piece, just such great music. The high concert G that you did hear in that is cued for down the octave. Excuse me. It's actually an alto sax down to the E and flute down to the G as well. So this one does have that concert G. I misspoke earlier, but it is cued otherwise, so you are able to change octaves on that. Next piece is a newer piece in the realm of things compared to Kentucky 1800. This was written in 1991. This is American River Songs by Pierre LaPlante, and Pierre LaPlante is one of my favorite composers for band, period. As Tom Lizotte says, it's the gift that keeps on giving. There's so much to do in American River Songs. I would definitely call this a grade 3 plus. It's American folk music again, based on river songs. There's the history that you can teach of our country, and here is amazing. There are solos for trumpet, an optional tuba solo, which means it could be the full section. There's also lots of exposed flute and piccolo stuff in this. It is 3 movements, ideally 7 percussionists, auxiliary percussion, battery, timpani, and mallets. There are 16th note pattern workouts, and there's this rhythm that goes 1 E, a 2, and 1 E, a 2, and, which is awesome. Let's see, there's use of playing it around. The trumpets get to use straight mutes, which are great. There's less doubling of instrument families, so you do have to have fairly solid instrumentation on this one. B flat, E flat, and F are our keys. Euphonium, bassoon, tenor sax have a lot of great counter lines. So if you have some players on those instruments, that would be really helpful. This is a great piece for them. All clarinets do go over the break. Let's see, and it's concert F range. So let's check out some of American River Songs by Pierre LaPlante. That is such a great piece of music. I'm actually doing it right now, and it's so great. Our next one is by David Holsinger on a hymn song of Philip Bliss. Now this one is from TRN Publishers. It's an amazing piece of music. It is a lyric 3, but I consider it a 3 plus. It is in D flat major. So to me, the biggest things to do on this is it's in D flat, and there's a lot. It's hard to find a lyric piece in D flat concert. And then the clarinet and saxophone pinky work is amazing on this. So if you want them to get used to using their pinkies, and you'll hear this in the beginning and the end of the piece when you listen to it, it's really, really great. There is an optional horn solo. This uses the famous hymn, "It Is Well With My Soul," very inspirational, very uplifting. 4 to 5 percussionists, easy to add mallet parts if you wanted to do more. Woodwind and brass both have choir moments, so it's woodwinds only, brass only. The score is for families together as well, so it does cross double in a lot of different places. And if you want to work on low, soft saxophone, this is the piece for you. So let's listen to a little bit on a hymn song of Philip Bliss. It is really tricky to stop that music because I want to listen to all of it. Such a great piece of music. It's so great. So I know a lot of you have heard that, but it just doesn't get old. There are some tricky things in that, but I don't know of a band in the country who doesn't get something out of working on that piece. I guess I mean that in the upper level, like even if your group plays a lot of grade 4 or even grade 5, that piece is just so amazing. Excuse me. Next, we're on to a great transcription from West Side Story on the tune "America." Now, this one is, I think, definitely at the grade 3 level, not a 3+. It's arranged by Johnny Vincent through the Discovery Plus band series, and to be honest, I think it sounds like the original. It's so good. It's West Side Story ref, right? So that's amazing. Articulation and dynamics. It's a gold mine for articulation and for dynamics. It's all 6/8, 3/4, or all 3/4, however you want to do it. It's one tempo throughout. 4 to 8 percussionists. The mallet parts do go above the staff, so those are pretty high. Woodwind sections get the verses and trumpet straight mute. They get to use straight mute, and I actually used it for trombone too, even though it's not written in there. It is in the key of B flat throughout. It goes to the key of C in the last 16 bars, even though there's no key change. It just modulates and has accidentals. It is rhythmically complex, and parts have been simplified. Clarinet 3 does stay below the break. There are accidentals, and it is not very rangy, but it is amazing music. So check out America, arranged by Johnny Vincent. That is such an amazing piece of music, and it works so well at multiple different speeds. That one was a little bit, that's at the written tempo, I believe, and you can even do it a little faster for more challenge. Again, I want to listen to the whole piece on this, but we just don't have the time for that. All right, the next piece is by Frank Ticheli. It's a piece called Abracadabra, which in his word is meant to be, it's meant to portray magic, not in the dark or evil sense, but in sort of a mischievous way. The end of this piece, if you listen to the full piece, actually ends with a little puff of smoke, like a magician would with a hat. This works on articulation very well. It really focuses on your reed players, especially in the lower register, including there's great bassoon parts. It is doubled with bass clarinet, but very good reed parts. 4 percussionists. If you have a lot more than that, there's not really a lot to double here. Very playful. It's mostly one tempo throughout. It is G minor throughout. There's 2 horn parts, meaning French horn, 3 trumpet and clarinet parts, 2 trombone parts. It does go to concert F. There is a piccolo part, which is great. All clarinets do go above the break. The bassoon part, as I mentioned, is great, and it cues across families very well. So let's check out a little bit of Abracadabra by Frank Ticheli. Okay, our next piece is actually that last one. I love it because there's a rabbit ear sticking out of a magic hat with a bat on the front, and Abracadabra is written in sort of like graphic font. That piece is so cool, and kids really like it. So check out Abracadabra. Next piece is Pierre Laplante's A Walk in the Morning Sun, which is just lovely. In fact, when our kids did this many years ago, we played the last note, and they'd always go, "Oh," like it was the cutest, sweetest thing ever. This is his nod to Leroy Anderson. It is original music. It's in an ABA form, where it's in E flat major, but then it goes to A flat in the middle. There is stuff for 5 percussionists. It's very light, very playful. The middle is extremely pretty and really, really moves so nice. There's many 8th note patterns through here, so it really helps work on rhythm in this style as well. There are very few 16th notes, and it's super musical. So check out A Walk in the Morning Sun. Oh, it's such a great piece of music. That was a live recording for a high school band, I believe, at concert. So, there were some things in there to fix in clinics and stuff. But I think you got a really good idea of what that piece is. I usually put that somewhere in the middle of a program, and it works really, really well as a change of pace. Not a ballad, but also not an opener or closer. This next piece is by the very famous Randall Standridge. I've used this piece a couple times. It's a concert opener. They call it a grade 2+. I consider it a 3 just for the experiences that I've had. I feel like this works really well at the grade 3 level. It's very percussion heavy. In the new era, it refers to is the electronic music with band. So there is a sort of grunge piano. I think he calls it a garbly, highly synthetic sound part. So there's a keyboard part for if you have a piano player that fits to it. There are 7 to 10 percussionists that you can use. So this is a good one if you have a lot of percussionists. It is in A flat major, which is a huge one, so we can remember those D flats for everybody. Lots of syncopation and ties. The rhythms are not predictable. So he writes it knowing that he was a band director. He writes it in a way where kids have to count all the way through. Concert opener, you could use it as a closer too. I think it's meant as an opener. Families are doubled throughout. The clarinets section does get the main melody near the beginning, so and that is not doubled anywhere else. There are accidentals for a little bit in the end, including F flats, so there's a little bit of an adventure there. There's no solos anywhere in the horn sections, and there's 2 parts for clarinet, trumpet, and 1 part for trombone. So let's listen to a little bit of new era fanfare. One thing you'll notice about that piece is that it's very pop oriented. It has a really great driving groove to it, so kids usually relate to it really, really well. Again, in that key of A flat major. Next piece is by a good friend of mine, Andrew Boysen Jr., and there are a few pieces of his that are going to be on here. This is called Metamorphosis, and this was created as a commission, and it was done based on a middle school science class subject, the life cycle of a butterfly. So it basically starts while it's in the cocoon and all that, then it lets go with flight at the very end. 5 percussion parts meant to double and make a setup of multiple percussion instruments. So his music, Dr. Boysen writes great music for students who are learning to play 4 or 5 different instruments in one setup. Almost all of his music requires 5 percussionists. You can double and have more kids, but 5 is sort of your ideal. It goes slow to fast. If you have just a normal grade 3 band, but you have a very strong flute soloist, this is a great piece for you. It starts with a strong low flute solo. Let's see, trumpets get to use straight mutes. It's F major throughout. The band sings on a static F pitch at the very beginning, which is a great teaching tool. So if you're looking for grade 3 with a good flute player, here it is. Let's check out Metamorphosis. you will notice that we didn't hear the beginning of that piece, but we did hear the flute solo at the end of it. It's just such a great, lovely piece at the grade 3 level. I believe in it very much. I know it is a newer piece as well. So Metamorphosis, I found the kids really enjoyed that. The percussion parts are really good. And it's, based on science, so you get some cross-curricular teaching there. Next piece is by Adolphus Hale Stork, entitled New Wade and Water. So this is a history to teach of wading in the water. The Wade in the Water tune. There's lots of history that goes along with that, which is a great thing to be able to teach. This has isolated 3/8 measures, so they just happen occasionally. So if you can teach your students the 1 and 2 and 1 2 3, 1 and 2 and 1 2 3, it works really well for introducing a different time signature like that. For percussionists, there is a high mallet part again. G minor is the center of the piece. It is in the key of D minor. All clarinets go to high C on this, so it's kind of a strange thing at this grade level. Families are cross-cued, and there's limited ranges, except for there is a high E flat in tenor sax, I believe, and again, all clarinets go to high C. But other than that, very limited ranges. Let's listen to a little bit of New Wade and Water by Adolphus Hale Stork. The next piece I actually do not have a recording available for. It is the Great Colonial Song by Percy Granger. Just to do Granger at the grade 3 level, it's amazing. You can work on tone, speeding up and slowing down. It's E flat major throughout, 4/4 or cut time, uses retards. There's no solos. It does go up to high concert G, so it's a solid grade 3, but traditional band rep at this grade 3 level is amazing. I suggest you go into Pepper and check this one out. It's so good. The Douglas Wagner arrangement of Colonial Song, it's just amazing. Again, I'm sorry I don't have a recording prepared for you today on that one, but I've plugged it and I can't wait to do it again. It's such great music, and Americana music too. Children's March is the next one, and many of us know the Great Children's March. This is Children's March at the grade 3 level, but again by Douglas Wagner, and you would swear half the time that it's the original Children's March. It's that authentic, but it's playable. So it's one tempo throughout, very close to the original. It uses the keys of F, B flat, E flat, and A flat, so there's a good teaching tool there. It's 6/8 throughout, and to me, finding a good 6/8 piece is so priceless. So it's very woodwind heavy, and you should have larger sections in clarinet and saxophone if possible, especially in the clarinet section. 5 to 6 percussionists, even though they don't play a ton, but they are needed there for sure. And the inner parts are very important. So this Children's March is amazing at the grade 3 level. Let's check it out. Such great music. It's so good, and you can work on it all day long. It's a march. It's a standard band rep. It's 6/8. It's key changes. There's so much musicianship in that. I believe in that piece very, very much. The next piece is a great new Russian arrangement by Brian Beck called Lyadov Fanfare. And I love so much the opening fanfare that goes along with it. This is listed at the grade 3 level, but I apologize. Let me back up. This is listed at the grade 4 level, but I believe it's a 3 plus. So let's check out a little bit of Lyadov Fanfare. Just such a great new arrangement by Brian Beck, and he's got a lot of other great things in there. So check out more Brian Beck stuff. That's Lyadov Fanfare. I think I'm pronouncing that right, at least. And we all know that like there's so much great history of great Russian classical music. So I think that's a newer arrangement of something that we can use with our contemporary bands. Next is a piece called it's an arrangement by Larry Kirchner from a Rangers Publishing Company called "I Saw Three Ships." It's at the grade 3 level, of course, because it's on this podcast. It's all 6/8. I've used this in Christmas time. I've used this outside of Christmas time because it's just a great piece of music. It's a really good 6/8 concert opener. The melodies pass through almost every section. The trumpet section gets to use harmon mutes, which is really, really cool. It's a key of B flat, E flat, and F. Piccolo and oboe solo, but the oboe it's a short solo, could be given to alto sax or something else that works for you. It starts with strong flute and piccolo section, and you need 6 plus percussionists. So it's a great concert opener. Let's check out I Saw Three Ships. Again, you'll notice on that one, that was a live recording by a community band, so there were some things in there that could be tightened up. And what we missed at the beginning of the piece was all of the flute and intro stuff with woodwinds and some percussion. It's a great short opener, and the beginning of that is very good, even though I didn't play it for you. Again, I wanted you to hear the strong ending of that one for sure. So I Saw Three Ships, a Rangers Publishing Company. In general, if you're looking for holiday music, a Rangers Publishing Company has a ton of great stuff. In fact, the next one is also from a Rangers Publishing Company. This is by the great Tom Wallace. It's called Divinum Mysterium. And I love this piece very much. It's gorgeous. It's 13th century plain song, and it's super musical. It has mixed meter of 2/4, 3/4, 4/4, even a 9/8 in there. And low flute and clarinet start it. The horns get the melody, which is super strong. Super great if you have a strong horn section. It is cued in trumpet as well. 6 plus percussionists, soft, loud, and then soft again. It's in the key of E flat, C, and F. So let's check out Divinum Mysterium. That's such a great piece of music. I love it so much. My students loved it. There was so much to teach in there. It's so good. The next two are completely contrasting. This next one is the tune from Shrek by Leonard Cohen, Hallelujah. This is available in Flex Band as well as the arrangement that happened before COVID. It's the same music, works as movie pop music, also works as a ballad, but it's also super musical enough to use even on a traditional concert, I believe. 6/8 throughout, again, which is amazing. Standard arrangement and flex band, as I mentioned. 4 plus percussionists. 8 of the measures actually goes to D flat major, but most of it is in F and B flat. It's a good intro to D flat because it's only for a short amount of time, and it's very musical, so you can even use this with some of your older groups as well. Let's listen to the Michael Brown arrangement of Hallelujah. We had just gotten, I believe, to the point in that piece where they had the D flat major section coming in. So Hallelujah, arranged by Michael Brown. The next piece is in the classic band rep. This is by Bach, the great Johann Sebastian Bach, Prelude and Fugue in B flat minor. B flat major. This is the B flat major, Prelude and Fugue, and it's just such amazing teaching throughout. This works in so many different facets at lots of levels. There is only a timpani part, but what I've done on this one is I've written a simple B-flat mallet part for all of the percussionists to play. It doesn't have to be the oboe part. I actually did it for like 1 mallet or 2 mallets or 3 mallets, following the harmony, and I'd be happy to share that with you if you want to reach out to me. The best chance to play Bach at the grade 3 level is this piece. It can be done with grade 4 to 5 bands too, symphonic work, phrasing. It's amazing. You can teach history. You can listen to Bach as you're working on this piece. The fugue works great for independent parts, and it's standard grade 3 ranges. F is there for almost all of it, and kids tend to really like it. It's a really, really great piece. So let's check out a little bit of the Bach Prelude and Fugue in B-flat major. Such a great piece of music. The next piece is again by Pierre LaPlante. This is called Prairie Songs. It uses 2 historical American folk tunes. It uses F major, B flat major. There's 6 percussionists, standard instrumentation with auxiliary percussion. Slower first section, faster second section, and a reprise with both sections together. The timpani roll was the first thing, and you need a really good percussionist to work on that timpani roll. Low reeds get the melody. There's straight mutes in 3-part trumpet soli, which is pretty awesome. Woodwind moments and brass moments separately. Super musical and lots of opportunities for students to achieve great musicianship. So the gift that keeps on giving is Pierre LaPlante. Let's check it out. This is Prairie Songs. There's so much music that you can teach in that. That's why it's such a popular piece. But if you haven't heard it before, Prairie Songs by Pierre LaPlante. Again, the gift that keeps on giving. Next piece is a newer piece by Brian Balmages. I guess not new. It looks like it's 2009. This is entitled Reverberations. This focuses on rhythm, and it passes 2 eighth notes throughout the group. It requires 6+ percussionists. Climaxes have sort of a marching band flavor, so kids usually really enjoy this piece while you're making them count, which is great. It is in D minor throughout, and it's very, very motor impulse, right? So those kids really, it really helps. Those students who are especially like the younger grade 3 kids really usually enjoy the counting aspect of this. Concert F range and clarinet 3 stays below the break. So let's check out some of Reverberations. as you can hear, there's so much great music opportunities in there, and oh, such a great piece. I suggest you use a metronome as you start working on that piece because the kids have to focus so much on what beat they have that two those two notes. I will say, Brian Balmages is a great composer, and there's another one of his pieces coming up here. I wish in the end it kind of goes to D major for the last chord, the last few chords, but he ends the last two notes again on D minor, and I know he has a really great reason for that. But that sort of hit me as a little strange. Anyway, maybe I'm not the only one who noticed that. All right, we have looks like 6 pieces left. The next two are by Andrew Boyson Jr. This next one is called A Song of Loudest Praise. This is a really great grade 3.5 piece. It's based on Come Thou Fount of Every Blessing. So it does have a religious context. However, it is not a religious piece, and you never even have to mention the religious portion of that if that's a concern for you. You need to have a piano player and 5 percussionists. Percussion feature to start in the beginning and in the end. So this is a really great ballad to work for your percussion section. It's super musical, and all percussionists get to play multiple instruments. The trumpet solo cadenza plays into the lid of the piano. So you can do it without, but the way to really do this is with a grand piano with a lid of some kind, and then there's a trumpet cadenza in the middle that you play into the piano, and the piano player presses the pedals down, and you get to hear this huge reverb from it. It's really, really amazing. There are 4 French horn parts, but parts 3 and 4 are cued elsewhere. Brass and woodwind moments are built in separately as well. It's a super uplifting piece, and the piano solo is very exposed, but not seriously hard. So as long as you have a piano player who is musical, it's a great opportunity to do it. So let's listen to some of A Song of Loudest Praise. That's such a great piece of music. Again, I know I say that over and over again, but written so well. There's a great story behind it, how it was written for a band director as they were retiring. And it features a piano and trumpet because of that. And there's so many great stories about him and his grandmother and all this with it. And the piece sort of retires into its simple beginnings and the peaceful sounds of the music box at the end. So such great music for everybody, including your percussion section, which cannot get forgotten. The next piece is also by Dr. Boysen, called Time Streams After Tricycle. Now, I actually spoke with him, and he was shocked that I included this piece and not Tricycle, because Tricycle is such a standard piece for so many pieces at the grade 3 level for so many bands. I chose to include this piece because, to me, this is like, if you've seen the movie Back to the Future, in the first one, when they go to 1985, they go back to 1985, but it's the wrong 1985, and everything's destroyed and ruined. This is kind of what that piece is. It's still, it's Tricycle, but it's sort of like the demented form of Tricycle. So it's, let's see, it opens in C minor, but it does go back to C major at the very end. It's 5/4 throughout, and it's motor impulse. So again, kids really get into this. This is listed as grade 4. I put it in the grade 3 because I've done this with grade 3 bands, and they could do it fine. So trumpets and trombones need to be fairly strong at this. It's not high, but they need to have strong sounds. It's a great closer with anything grades 3 to 5. I've used this with really upper level groups, and it works well too. There's a low flute solo as well as an oboe solo in the middle that could be moved to alto or trumpet. Again, with his music, 5 percussionists play multiple percussion setup. 3 mallet parts are included in that, and 2 use the bass clef. So it's really great, again, for your percussionists. It's heavy percussion, and kids really, really love this. So let's listen to a little bit of Andrew Boysen Jr.'s Time Streams. Again, you'll notice we listened to the beginning of that piece and then the end of that piece. There was a big spot in the middle that we had to cut out just for time reasons, of course, unless you'd like a 6-hour podcast. That's a great piece of music. Again, that was a live performance by a school, so you do hear that there's some imperfections in there. All right, down to our final four pieces, and these are four amazing pieces. This next one is in 4 movements by Brian Balmages called Within the Castle Walls, Songs of the Welsh Revolution. To me, this sounds like Granger and Holst and Vaughan Williams. To me, this is a standard rep band sounding piece at the grade 3 level. There's 4 movements and tons of teaching opportunities. And I'm going to play you snippets of all 4 of these movements coming up. The history to teach of the Welsh Revolution in the 1300s against England. So there's lots of history that you can teach with this. 5 to 6 percussionists. First movement is 8th and 16th articulation work. Uses band and choirs to emulate music of the time. So let's listen to the first movement Within the Castle Walls. The second movement is in D minor. It has very woodwind heavy. I apologize, my notes here. Very heavy on the woodwinds, and it's D minor lyrical piece in 3/4. Let's check out part of the second movement. I believe in that piece very much. I've done it once only, but it's so much in there. Remember, this is 4 movements within separate movements, and there's nothing saying you couldn't do one of these movements separated if that worked for you. The third movement is Men of Harlech, and this is strideful, strong melodic statement, lots of great brass teaching, especially in this, and the articulation is great. So let's check out the third movement briefly. This last movement is an absolute blast. It uses multiple snares, including marching snares if you want to use them, in a cut time jig feature that is very heavy. Actually, let me look here real quick in the score. It's really piccolo and flute. You get lots of strong stuff here. The woodwind things in this piece generally are doubled throughout clarinet and flute. So there's lots of great woodwind writing in this final closing jig. Also, your percussionist will love it. So let's check out the final movement of Within the Castle Walls called Owen Glinder's War Song. that whole piece, 4 movements within the castle walls, is worth the investment in time. It's also great standard band rep sounding music, but there's a lot of percussion in there throughout. They don't sit and do nothing, and it's very playable. Brian wrote that very well for the grade 3 level, so check that one out. 3 pieces left. This next one is possibly my favorite grade 3 piece, by Andrew Boysen Jr., entitled Unraveling. This is a unique piece. I've never seen anything like it. The piece gradually speeds up every single measure, and ideally every single beat of measure, from the beginning to the end. So the piece unravels like a ball of yarn. It builds throughout like Bolero by Maurice Ravel. It starts very similar with a snare drum and just builds and builds and builds throughout. It's obviously much shorter than Bolero is. Hence the title Unraveling. So the piece sort of unravels, but the word Ravel is actually in the middle of unraveling. Tricky guy, that Dr. Boysen. Alto solo at the beginning. There's also a trumpet solo. The brass get to buzz mouthpieces as well, and the whole band sings. This uses the octatonic scale, which is a scale of half steps and whole steps. To do. It's really great. It's a one-of-a-kind piece. 5 percussionists with multiple setup throughout. Kids love this piece. Contemporary harmony, so there's spots with half steps that have to be super loud and crunchy within the sections, and the strongest percussionist should be on snare drum, because they sort of have to be with you throughout, because by the end you're just cruising. So check out some of this great piece by Andrew Boysen Jr. called Unraveling. Aren't you lucky you got to listen to the entire piece of that one? I just couldn't stop it anywhere. That was so good. So, Unraveling, Andrew Boysen Jr. He's a great clinician, great teacher, and in full disclosure, a very great friend as well. All right, 2 final pieces. We have not had any traditional marches on here, and I included one, and that doesn't mean that they're not important. Marches are extremely important. The reason I included this one is it's from the Barnhouse Heritage of the March series. This is by Carl King, who's actually my favorite of the three big march composers. He It can be used as a gallop or as a march. Um, let's see. Carl King was a baritone player, a baritone player in the circus. He left school early, so there's great euphonium parts through here and tenor saxophone parts. Accessible at all tempos. You can do it slower, you could do it fast. It's 2/4 throughout, B flat and E flat. Um, let's see. This march is an amazing chance to work on balance of all players within sections and between sections. You can teach march form like intro, first, second, strain, trio, dogfight, final strain, all that. And you can work on melody versus harmony versus counterpoint versus accompaniment. This Circus Days, again, if it's a really great piece, bring it down in tempo if you need to, and it works really, really well. So the Heritage of the March series, especially the Carl King, for me is a favorite. Obviously, Henry Fillmore, John Philip Sousa are amazing. For my grade 3 tastes, this is sort of the series to go for. So let's check out some Circus Days by Carl King. What I love about that so much is the way that they use the saxophone section to really help fill out throughout that series. A lot of the standard original marches are really hard for instrumentation with with modern bands, um, but that one is it's done so well. So I hope you enjoyed Circus Days. And then we actually have two final pieces. I forgot one, which I don't know how I forgot this piece. The next piece we're doing is by Frank DeKelly called Joy Revisited. I love this one. I would consider this a grade 3.5. Closer to 4 than 2, that's for sure. 4 percussionists. This is Joy. If you like this piece but it's too hard, check out Joy by Frank DeKelly. It's a grade 2, and this Joy Revisited is just a beefed up version of this. Super happy piece. The concert G is the top note for woodwind and trumpet, so it's a little bit more rangy. And there are some 16th notes in here that you'll hear. E flat major throughout, great concert opener, or actually works as a closer, I feel. And you need strong first chair woodwind players to make this happen really well as a good first chair trumpet player. So let's check out Joy Revisited. All right, everybody, our final piece of music is by the great arranger and writer Michael Sweeney. And if you haven't done Michael Sweeney's stuff, you've been living under a rock. He has done great music for concert band, great music for jazz band, great music for middle school, high school, anything. I mean, I could do 3 years worth of stuff just Michael Sweeney. I don't know how he is such a great writer, but it's amazing at every single level. So this piece is a grade 3 entitled Earth Dance. And it's sort of a one-in-a-kind piece that kids usually really, really like. It has a synthesizer part. You do need, I believe it's 5 to 6 percussionists. There's a lot of percussion to play. There's some 6/8. It's really 12/8 in 4/4 kind of stuff. 6/8 feel. The opening, there's lots of sounds like raindrop sound and pouring rain sound. There's a really great woodwind part that you're going to hear. This is a really awesome piece. It's great to use with honor bands, but also as a focus piece for your grade 3 band. And the ending section of it is definitely sort of pop music inspired in my view. So kids usually really, really like it. Let's check out a couple segments of this Earth Dance by Michael Sweeney. Thank you for listening to the Growing Band Director podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe. And if you want to help spread the word, please give us a 5-star review and tell your band director friends to subscribe too. We're available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, our YouTube channel, and wherever you listen to podcasts. Also, if you have the time, we highly recommend the After Sectionals podcast for more great listening. Thank you for listening to the Growing Band Director. See you next week.